What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Geekly Goods. We are here for a spoiler review of Fast 9 because, guys, we ranked them last week and thought, man, we should all come back together to do a Fast 9 review. And here we are to talk spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, I'm letting you know now, you might want to turn around, go see it, then pull a 180, come on back to this review, and then we can chat about it, guys. But welcome, and feel free to join the discussion down in the comments. And, guys, we're just going to get right to it today because we got a lot to talk about with this movie, whether you like it or you don't. But I'm going to start with my boy Low, Marcellus Durden at the bottom. Just go ahead and let us know your initial thoughts, man, of the movie, what you thought walking out.
Oof. And it's not to say that it was completely terrible, because there was some enjoyable moments, but overall I think there's a fine line between being self-aware and beating your audience over the head with it. Like Tyrese was pretty funny, but his invincible bit was kind of like I think there's like a fine line he crossed when he kind of broke that wall, and it just started to feel a little goofy. I particularly didn't care for a lot of the dialogue. There was a Star Wars conversation that just didn't hit home for me, and it kept going. It was like, oh, I'm Han Solo. No, actually, no, you're not. Well, I could be Luke Skywalker. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to keep going, aren't they? So the dialogue was a little wonky for me. One too many flashbacks, like more flashbacks than you can shake a stick at. And ultimately, I think minus some mildly entertaining chases, it was kind of ho-hum. I didn't care for the way the story was put together. And it was overall really disappointing, especially considering we brought back Han, we brought back Twink, we brought back, what's his name? Wet Blanket Black. But what fascinates me is that Lucas Black was not the worst thing of this movie. He is actually pretty cool. I think he was a lot more entertaining than he was in Tokyo Drift. Mm-hmm. I think it served him to his benefit to be more of the comedic relief side. But yeah, ultimately, I don't want to go too long, but I'm pretty disappointed. I was hoping for more.
Yeah, man. I mean, that Roman scene in the first, 5 to 10 minutes in the movie where he's just the best marksman in the entire world. Like, what was that, dude? Really, like,
we gotta give stormtroopers more slack from now on.
No, and then he picked up the AK and then magically shot all of them, and he was like, "Oh wow!" And he's like looking at the gun, I was like, "Dude, what?"
And who are you, and where can we find you?
Oh yeah, so good morning. Good morning. I'm Low.
Who's Navi?
You can find me at Marcellus Durden. Café con leche. I'm a proud member of the Stood Up Geeks with Ryan and AJ and our man, Mr. Crockpot over. I don't know what direction he is. Mr. Crockpot over there. You can follow us at the Stood Up Geeks. Thanks for having me, Leo. It's always fun to talk shop.
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming through. All right, Ricky, we're on to you, man. Initial thoughts? What you think?
All right, so obviously you can find my stuff at the Music City Drive-In. I'm a little wonky, obviously, because I'm in my car. That's not on purpose. My first initial thought, I don't know. I love the movie. And let me separate this by saying that it is not a Oscar nominated film. It's not a film that has great dialogue. It's not a film that it's exactly what I want it to be. Exactly what I want it to be. Nonsense, action-packed, stupid. I don't care about the storyline as much. I mean, I didn't hate the flashback, but I do agree that there's one too many. I will say this, that John Cena might be the worst wrestler turned actor I've ever seen in an action movie. It is terrible.
What you talking about, brother?
He's great. He was great in like blockers. Like, he has a niche. Stay there. Right? You know what I mean? Like, outside of that, he is terrible in this movie. Like, some of his stuff is borderline cringe. His hair is cringy enough because he doesn't really have hair, so it's like you can count his plugs. But his stuff was awful. I do love making fun of Star Wars just because we all know that the Fast and Furious franchise is a far superior franchise. But I enjoyed it. I loved it. It's crazy. It's over the top. It's stupid. Is it like a great movie? No, but I think it's middle of the pack of this franchise, period.
Wait. I gotta make sure I heard that right. We said Fast franchise over Star Wars?
All day, every day, twice on Sunday.
Thank you, Christian.
Thank you.
I mean, hey, you know what? I wish I was walking out of this theater. What's that?
And I will say that it was great to be in a like, I saw it in 4DX, and if you've never seen anything 4DX, I highly recommend doing it once. Twice might break your budget because it's like $25 a ticket. But I do think it was cool seeing this in a theater full of people that don't care about movies the same way that I care about movies, and maybe some of the other people on this panel care about movies in that aspect of reviewing them. But everything hit with the audience, which obviously always makes for a better experience as well. They laugh at all of the terrible Roman jokes. They laugh at all of the over-the-top stupid action and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. But I loved it.
I wish I was walking out of this movie with your kind of enthusiasm. Like, when you talked about how much you loved it, I was just like, man, I wanted to be really walking out of this the same way. Like, F7 style, just like, holy shit, this was an amazing experience, but couldn't find myself on that same high, bro. But I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm glad. Ryan, let us know, man, what you think. Where can we find you and who you are?
Damn, what's going on, guys? Suit Up Geeks, as per usual, with Deebs and Loretto. Have a good show. I got my own podcast, the Backroom Podcast, and then my Twitter's just like right down there. You guys know where to find it. But dude, I gotta say, I don't know what I was expecting with this movie, but this was not what I was expecting at the same time. This is absurdity on top of absurdity, top on absurdity. And I feel like we've gotten to the point where we kind of expect them to try and do something bigger and more dangerous than the previous movie does. And we're sitting here, we're just like, okay, yeah, we probably figure out where they're going to go to be the big thing. But I feel like throughout this entire film, they try to up themselves every 20 minutes instead of twice every film. So there's like so many action set pieces to the point where I'm like, you guys just did like the rest of your ideas in this movie. I'm like, I'm sure you guys have other ideas, but the only way this franchise can shock me at this point is if they time travel, cross over with Jurassic Park, or just fight fucking aliens. Those are the only way.
Center of the Earth. Center of the Earth, baby.
They'll drill down to the center of the core and try and go fast enough to spin the Earth back in time like Superman. That's their next goal. But dude, on top of the cringy dialogue, it just didn't work. Nothing in this movie worked. I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer here, bro. I really don't like this film. Fate of the Furious was like my worst one. This is my worst one. This is bottom of the barrel, Zibnada. And I don't know if anyone felt the same way, but this movie just felt like it was missing something. Like, throughout the entire movie, I'm just like, I see everyone that I know and recognize is here, with the exception of obviously Hobbs and Brian. But I feel like with Brian, they do him some good service and trying to keep him in the universe without like trying to show a CGI Brian, which I actually thought they were going to try and do in the end. And when it did, I'm like, oh, thank God they did that. But like, even with Hobbs, you never really realized how much of an influence he had on the movies he was in. Even in Furious 7, he wasn't in it that much, but you knew he was in it. And when he was in it, and now he's not in it, and it just feels like something's missing. And it's just a bummer because I don't think John Cena filled that hole really well. It's like putting a circle into a diamond and it's not fitting perfectly.
I just had the image of like Bruce Willis inviting the entire Fast franchise team, and they're going into space and blowing up an asteroid or something like that. That'd be great.
Fuck, get Bruce Willis in this franchise. I mean, anybody at this point. I don't know. John Cena was not. He wasn't it.
The only thing Bruce Willis will do is make Vin Diesel look charismatic in this movie, because he didn't give as much of a shit as Bruce Willis gives in the last 10 years.
Woo, man. Vin Diesel in this movie, he just did not. It's like he just didn't care. I don't know, man. Like, he just didn't bring it. It didn't even feel like Dom loved Letty at all. Like, I'm just like, this is the chick you pulled your car over, flung into the air to catch 3 movies ago, and it seems like you don't care anymore. What the hell? But, Alyssa, how'd you feel about it?
I thought it was okay. I didn't love it, but I didn't dislike it either. I would say it's pretty solid, middle of the pack Fast and Furious movie for me, so I liked it. But I don't know. I mean, I definitely can see some of the points that everybody's making. I think I'm going to disagree on others, but it's, the writing wasn't the best. The story was very convoluted, and things go very excessively insane, but that's the trajectory that this franchise has been on for the last decade. And so kind of like, I don't think I like it quite as much as Ricky does, but I can see the point he's making, that this is like, I don't know what anybody else would expect from a Fast and Furious movie at this point, just because of, the last few. I mean, they go bigger and more insane, and like, of course they're going to go into space. Like, why not? Like, where? Like, I mean, it's Fast and Furious, so it's one of those things where I can definitely understand why people would dislike it, especially people who don't know the franchise. Like, if somebody's coming in being like, oh, is this about racing? And then they watch this and they're like, like going to a satellite in space. They're like, what is it? Like, it's like pulling a Moonraker all of a sudden with like Bond. But like, I don't know. Like, I enjoyed it for what it was. I agree that John Cena, I don't know. Like, I think he's okay in this world, in this kind of franchise. I'm not sure if he's great for this particular part and role as the brother. But like, convoluted, insane story, ridiculous action, that's kind of par for the course here. So I enjoyed it for what it is.
Hey, again, just like I told Ricky, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I kind of wish Chris Morgan was back as a writer, because it seemed like he knew how to just like bring that charm in the story, even though it was ridiculous, with the submarine and 8, like that was over the top, but it was just so fun and so dumb fun.
Seems like he's the secret ingredient.
Yeah, because it was like, okay, in 8, at least that was like stupid fun, and me personally, I was like, all right, these are getting extremely dumb, but they're fun as hell still. And this just felt like the fun was missing.
That's really underrated, Leo, because I think some of the jokes, like for me, a lot of the jokes fell flat, especially that one where Luda was like, dumbass, and it just didn't hit the same. Like,
that's like early 2005 like comedy. Oh, I called him a dumbass. Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, I was like waiting for a punchline after like building it up, and then Luda was just like, yeah, you dumb. And then I was just like, oh, that's the joke? Like, all right.
And then your entire theater laughed.
Yeah. Actually, it was a minor set of chuckles.
Oh, okay.
Did anybody here think that the Jurassic World preview was better than this whole movie?
Yes.
I missed it.
I didn't see it because we don't have IMAX here.
Yeah.
Remember, Leo, I got to see this in full screen, so.
Poor thing. Man, that looked like a lecture hall.
Press screening was in IMAX, but we didn't get trailers.
Yeah, they gave us one trailer and it was the Forever Purge, and then they're like, Jurassic World, psych. I think they even had a sign outside the door at my screening, and I was like, oh, cool, we're gonna get to see. Nope. Shut that shit down.
Sucks to be you.
But Alyssa, tell us who you are and where we can find you.
Yeah, so I'm you can find me at Mainly Movies on YouTube. I've got a YouTube review channel here, and as well on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of the social media at Mainly Movies.
Yeah, go follow her, y'all. All right, Dives, let us know, man. I think you enjoyed it, right? You had a good time, didn't you?
I agree with Alyssa. Like, I came out of the theater not upset. Pound for pound.
Not upset.
No. Clearly, there's a lot more problems than, positives in this film. clearly, pound for pound, this had the most eye-rolling moments of any movie in this franchise. No one's going to debate that. There's a lot of Corona. I was really happy to see a lot of Corona.
Yeah.
Because that was like my complaint about Fate of the Furious. It's like Coronas, barbecues, and just chilling with the family. That's what Toretto's are all about. It was the stupidest.
And
movie.
doing wheelies in their Chargers.
And wheelies. You got it.
You got one in as young Dom.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna I'm just gonna go into quick problems. It was clearly the writing, like everyone already addressed. The writers were just clearly well over their heads when trying to make this movie. They're trying to build around the existing characters, bring in all these new characters while bringing all their villains in and out of this franchise. It had way too much fluff. Why did we have Cardi B in this film? Come on, Don. What are we thinking here? Why do we have Helen Mirren in this film? That car chase was fun. Who cares? It didn't need to be in this movie. Why was Otto?
Explain who that is, because Christian doesn't know her name.
Otto by far was one of the worst characters in franchise history. I just wanted to punch him in the face every single time. Cringe-worthy moments. That being said, if you're going into a Fast and Furious movie and we're going to be complaining about plot and we're going to be complaining about this and that, what are we doing here, guys? No one comes here to see Oscar-winning acting. No one comes here to see these, Christopher Nolan-esque weaving plot points. No one cares. The fact of the matter is, did you have fun? I had fun. I give it in that 6.5 out of 10 range.
Hey, Dives, can I speak to that hella fast though?
Okay.
I think no, because I'm
and hella furious.
Especially after Fate, right? The audiences, we know what we're getting into, but there is a level of fluidity and connective tissue that just has to be there. Just because something's bad and we know it's bad doesn't mean we have to enjoy it, is all I'm saying. It's I hated F7 almost, but the ending almost made me cry, and the set piece in the end was really cool, and The Rock holding a 50 cal machine gun shooting a helicopter, that was cool, but there's certain elements that just work for some films, and for this one, it just, I don't know, they hit a wall, to add a little pun in there. So
how about the times, how many times did we see people get caught by cars in this film?
It's one of my favorite parts. It's so ridiculous.
It's so
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Just bounced off the cars. They didn't
it's
even get
the
caught.
soft, it's, yeah.
It's fun, but it kind of takes away a little bit of the stunt from Fast 6 a little bit for me. So, how many times have we seen guys that's one fight scene of John Cena versus Dominic Toretto, Vin Diesel, and they're jumping from bridge to car to car to car. It's so unrealistic, and I'm just sitting there laughing. I had a great time.
Yeah, and he's got the 8-mile long zip line. Reminded me of the 26-mile long runway in Fast 6.
Yeah, you're watching a Fast and Furious franchise when that's the weakest part of the film, and it's so ridiculous. And that's what we're getting ourselves into.
We saw a dude go through a highway sign without moving an inch.
Yes.
Bro.
And Vin Diesel going through a fucking wall.
Yeah. Bro. I didn't know if Idris Elba stuck whatever chemical that gave him the powers or bionics up their asses or something, but there was a little something.
It's the magnets. He's got
there.
magnet shoes.
Yeah, I guess so. Them motherfuckers just stood still. He's like, "Oh, did something just hit me from behind on the 60 while I'm moving 60 miles per hour at the same time, facing the opposite direction?" Oh no, I thought that was a bug.
Yeah, Ryan nailed it in our review last night. It does take away that level of ridiculousness. I fully agree. It takes away the emotional anxiety moments of these big action set pieces. When you know that Roman even says it point blank, we're invincible. But when you know that and nothing happens, it takes away of course Dom's going to survive after falling 200 feet. Of course Dom is going to whip the fucking truck and destroy that airplane at the very end. Of course, it kind of just takes away the shock and awe of the moment.
That judo flip, when he judo flipped out that vehicle rolling down the hill, I was like, okay, this is just...
They've done that so many times. He did that in Fast 5, though. At the end of the vault chase. So,
but at least
he's been going on for 10 years.
At least he, opened a car door and came out of that. Oh. This is, a whole huge vehicle that he, jumped out of the top of.
This man selling
What about Brian in Furious 7, right? When he, runs up the bus and, catches Letty's spoiler as she's driving by. Come on.
But that truck wasn't on fire.
I forgot
This one
about
was
that.
on fire already.
And Dom
I didn't
didn't
roll down a
Brian,
hill for 5 minutes.
Brian didn't
Like
do a
the
superhero
funniest-
landing. Dom did a straight up superhero landing right outside that shit.
The funniest part of this movie is that truck already has got hit with 2 missiles. It's burning, and then Dom lands it, and Lenny's like, yes!
She said yes like 5 times. She was very excited in this one. Yeah.
Yeah, she likes seeing her man be invincible, I guess. Like it's just like every time. Like I think when the little bridge rope like swung them across, which by the way was the most ridiculous shit ever. But when it swung them across the bridge and they landed back up and tumbled over, like how does this type of shit happen when now nobody getting a scrape? And then when they tried to do the joke, it just didn't roll off the tongue well.
What about, I can't believe no one's questioning Roman getting shot from 20 to 30 different militia from all around him and then blowing it off. And then they even proved that he had nothing on by him saying that, look at my jacket with these bullet holes. Them motherfuckers really shot me. And I'm sitting there, I'm just like, bro, why? And this is like within the first 25 minutes out of a 2.5-hour movie. I'm like, why do you guys give me a reason to care about anyone almost dying in this movie?
What about
Like, they even fucked you over with Cypher. I'm like, oh my god, thank God for finally getting her out of the franchise, especially after this movie. Nah, bro, she's coming back.
Yeah, she's
What
back in
about-
the next one easy.
what about
Hey
Sean?
Ryan, when he held up his jacket with the bullet hole, it took me out of it. I was like, okay,
Dude, you're just like, how did you survive that?
like he's clearly like, look, see, we're in a movie because I can't die. Like that's what he said. Like that's what he was saying.
Yeah.
Like
What about
Yeah, there was
Sean?
another moment when
Like-
Cypher was talking. She was like, "If this were a movie, like it's just like
Yeah.
some line." So, but I mean, this.
I just said when characters say that in general. If this was a movie, well, this is a movie, okay?
They look straight at the
Well,
camera.
I mean,
This
I
is a
mean, I
movie.
feel like this movie certainly has gone very self-aware, but I think this franchise has been pretty self-aware for a while. I mean, even think back to like Too Fast, Too Furious. Like they were like, you know, Roman's always been that character where he's the one that like says things that the audience is probably thinking about how insane everything, like what's going on. And so he's always been that type of character, plus this comic relief. And so I don't know. I'm not too surprised by that. And I mean, if we're doing this, how do you guys feel about Hobbs and Shaw? Because that one goes really self-aware. That one goes insane with its
Love it.
action and its
I love
tech
it.
stuff and the superhero, supervillain. So like, it's in the franchise. I know it's not like one of the numbered movies, but like,
Yeah.
this doesn't seem like that far of a stretch from say Hobbs and Shaw. So
What about Sean being able to fly like a spaceship?
Yeah. Like, bro, you were just drifting on the streets of
Spaceman.
Tokyo. Now you're fucking shooting rockets off into space in fucking 2,000 cars, some shit.
All I gotta say
Pontiac
is that
there.
they could have just hijacked a rocket. Did they have to go through all that? The 5 of them, 6 of them, they could have just band together and hijacked the rocket. Why the fuck did they do
because
that?
it's
Why?
Fast and Furious, it's got to be a car. What are you talking about?
I
Launch the
actually
car out
agree
of
with
the rocket.
Alyssa. Like, it
No,
has to be a
don't.
car. It has to.
I mean, they could have put
Nope.
a car in a big ass rocket and then launched it
And
out
drove the car
I'm
out of
getting
the
ahead
rocket?
myself. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you want to do it that way, launch the car out the damn rocket, then nobody even
Well,
has to
they
like
already did it
get
out
in
of a
the
plane
car.
in Fast 6. So I mean,
Yeah,
you gotta mix it up a little bit.
Through some skyscrapers and 7. It's ridiculous at this point. But
They say
Ren,
numbers matter in this movie, but then 5 minutes later, they're like, oh, wait, numbers don't matter, and let's just crash into a fucking satellite. And then, oh, look, NASA's right here.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
My
those minions?
my favorite line is when Ludacris says, "As long as we obey the laws of physics, we'll be fine." And I'm like, "You haven't obeyed the laws of physics in a long time, my friend."
The point, though, they're making fun of themselves and going after the criticism that we have, or many people have, some of you guys have, of the franchise. And so, like, I don't know, like, I found that kind of self-aware stuff kind of funny because, like, the movie is so, or the franchise is so ridiculous at this point that, I mean, of course, like, we're all aware of how, I don't know, I enjoyed that aspect.
hey, you know what? Again, it's good that some of us enjoyed it because it's just like such a beast of a franchise now. It's not going anywhere. We're getting 10 and 11 and Hobbs and Shaw 2, maybe even Hobbs and Shaw 3. So we are in our seats, ready for Fast 10, our seat belts. All right, Ren, let me know your thoughts, man. What'd you think?
Before I start, let me just say, if you need me to stop at any point, tell me, because I have a lot of things to say. So there is enjoyment in this film. I'm not with Ryan that I think this is like at the very bottom of the franchise in rankings. There is enjoyment here. There are some cool scenes. There are some cool moments. To me, it crossed a certain line that I didn't want it to cross. Like Alyssa said, this franchise is very self-aware, but this time, instead of embracing the ridiculous, which is the thing that we have been liking, this one kind of felt like it had a bit of arrogance about it. Like, eat this up, you dumbass, you'll eat everything we give to you. It felt like that was the attitude of the film. The flashbacks, Lo was very kind in saying it had one too many. I think it had 100 too many flashbacks that only served as exposition. They weren't cut in a way where Dom or Jacob were remembering these certain events. They were just, hey, you need to know this, audience, here you go. Mia has one line where she says, well, I kept in touch with Jacob. Well, actually show it. You're using flashbacks already. Show that to me. Don't tell me. Also, it's really friggin' lucky that Letty was sitting in that one food stand, sitting and turning to that direction so she could see the Mexico flag in Little Tokyo.
Out of all of Tokyo,
incredible.
they happen to be at the
Exactly.
right spot.
Thank God her and Mia didn't change seats, because otherwise they'd have been screwed. Let me get to Han, because, So I was excited when they announced that Han was coming back, because I'm like, yeah, I don't care. This is ridiculous. Make it ridiculous. The thing is, if you tell me that Han was in the car and then Shaw crosses in front of the car and disappears, you're not actually explaining to me how he survived. I got that he survived, but how did he disappear from the car? Oh, that's a neat magic trick. Oh, I did best. No, actually explain it. That was not an explanation of how Han survived. How did he get out of the car? Did Mr. Nobody directly help him? Was he, like, in the trunk of the car and he got... I still have no clue how Han got out. And I watched the movie twice, so that tells you something. The opening scene... the Monte Quinto action sequence when they go to get the half of the sphere, I think shows us everything that is wrong with the film. In that scene, we don't understand why our heroes care. We don't understand why we should care. We don't understand what the menace of that device is. Okay, it's important, but why? The trailers revealed everything. Like, we knew from the get, okay, that's Jacob, he's right there, he's the one choking out Mr. Nobody, he's the one that took the plane out. So there was no suspense, there was no surprise. Vin Diesel, the main character of this film, in whom the emotional core of the story relies so much, has no reaction. He has one surprise face. He has the surprise face of, this motherfucker. That's the one surprise face he has. Letty, when they first see Jacob, Letty has a bigger shock than Dom has. There's something wrong with that, in my opinion. I think Vin Diesel should have been much more shocked than Letty was in that moment. John Cena. Going to defend John Cena for a bit. Especially in the scene where they're in that hideout. And
well, hang on, Rand. We're gonna have like a John Cena question. So maybe
okay.
Well, actually, to respond to one thing that Ren just said about Vin not being shocked, didn't he hear, like, when he's rewatching, the whole reason why he finally goes and meets up with Letty and them to go on this mission, he's like in the barn or whatever rewatching the clips, and didn't Mr. Nobody say it's alive, and didn't he hear that, like, your brother's alive or Jacob's alive? Isn't that what, like, that was indicating? So he wouldn't be that shocked to see him, because he already knows. That's why he went. But
even in that, even in that moment, I didn't see that much. It was like, huh, interesting. And then he goes. To me, at least to me, that's how it hit me. Like, even the photo that he connects to Jacob, turns out it's the cross from Han. It actually has nothing to not directly, at least, to do with Jacob. So to me, there was always this disconnect. Charlize Theron, who's one of the three good villains of this franchise, is stuck in a box for most of the film. I didn't get the villain's dynamic in this at all. I think this should have been Jacob captured Cypher, and Cypher is a master hacker, so she can get him the money that he gets from Otto. I don't think Otto belongs anywhere in this film. He adds nothing. Even one of the things that Fast and Furious does well and arguably, because I know there are people who would argue otherwise, the Shaw redemption arc, turns out he was being blackmailed by Cypher, he wanted revenge for his brother, blah blah. So it makes sense, even if you don't believe he's a good person. I don't believe he's a good person, but I think for the Fast franchise it works. The Jacob redemption arc is him being backstabbed by Otto and his team, and it kind of comes across as just enemy of my enemy kind of thing. It doesn't really create a bond between him and the family, apart from, hey, we're blood brothers, so I guess we're good now. There's just a disconnect for me. And again, going back to that opening scene in Monte Quinto, just to me highlighted all the issues that we then have through the entire film. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
My man went in like I'm about to go in on
Tell
this.
us how you really feel, man.
Man, the opening scene.
I love it.
The opening scene did like really establish how like idiotic this movie was gonna be. I don't want to even go that far, but it just kind of set us up for how this movie was gonna be, especially with the.
You know what? Let me say one more thing.
The trailer established that.
Yeah, that's the trailer established.
Yeah. Oh man, for real.
Let me say one thing. One positive about this film, something that was actually funny. Ramsey not knowing how to drive. I think that really works. I think that's really funny in a Fast and Furious movie.
Right, the one character who has no idea how to drive, but still handle it decently well.
Yeah, stick shift truck with magnets, and I can do it. Like that was pretty.
I think that was my biggest thing. I'm like, this is a stick shift. What's that, Lo?
Like, somehow that truck kept up with the car they were chasing.
Yeah, this massive truck. Oh, and by the way, it pulled a car all the way through a window, but nothing else. When it did that, it pulled that one car, and people was walking by it with belts on and necklaces, and I'm like, it ain't pulling none of that. You mean to tell me
it didn't pull any of the components from the truck?
Yes,
that the magnets were on. Nothing.
I mean, what about that plane that Cypher, whoever the hell actually flew that plane that has the magnet underneath when they're in Kunta Kinte, wherever the fucking beginning takes place. You get my point. Wherever the beginning takes place and they go off the bridge, right? We see Jacob just like fly off the edge of the mountain.
Wait, hold on, Ryan. We can't let that one go, man. What the hell?
Kunta Kinte.
I don't know where it takes place. They've gone to like 20 different places in this movie.
It sure as fuck ain't no Kunta Kinte. I'll tell you that.
It's not that. I think it starts with an I, or it has lots of eyes. But it's
no,
like
he's
Ipsili No, I think he's talking about the last location.
No, the
I
first
thought you said the plane.
The first one. Okay,
yeah, when
sorry,
they go
sorry,
look for Mr. Nobody. So you know how at the end, I don't mean to back up a little bit. You see how when Cypher's like aiming the missiles on Dom, they kind of get blocked by the cars in front of him a little bit. But when Jacob goes off the mountain, that plane is probably like a mile or two away. How did it stay attached to that car and still pick him up by the point that the plane would come over the mountain and drop down to save the car? I don't think it would have been able to catch it in time, especially seeing that ending, bro. But maybe I'm looking a little too far into it.
I mean, was it that ridiculous considering the next stunt, like with the roping that car across the lands like that?
I try to put like some laws of physics in it, but like Tez says, we have to listen to the laws of physics, and I'm just like, bro, what Ren said, you haven't done that since like 4, bro. Relax.
Relax. Slow your roll.
All right, Christian, let us know, man, who you are and then what you thought of the movie.
All right, so hi, my name is Christian. You can find us over at Film Optics on Twitter and Instagram. That is Optics with an X. I got to be honest, when I saw this, it was in a bit of a rush because I was finishing up a few errands on my side, and I was like, okay, I can make the 8 o'clock showing. I had a very, very long day. I want to like throw that out there now because after like the first 30 minutes, I like literally passed out in the theater. I was so tired. And like, so I saw like the first 30 minutes, and then I saw like the last like maybe 40 to 45 minutes of the movie. kind of going in and out. Like I said, it was a super long day. Did not expect or plan to fall asleep during this movie, but I am going to see it again today. But from what I saw, and from what when you guys are talking about, like there are some things I do remember. I will say John Cena is not a good actor when it comes to things like this. I just wasn't really buying it. I don't think a lot of the jokes land at all. I mean, like it's ridiculous for sure, but it's just, I don't know. Like it's just like the more movies we get from this franchise, it's like the less and less I care about them. And like sometimes they're really, really good, but it's like I don't know. It's just not really doing it for me. I am gonna go back and, like I said, see it again today to form a more sound opinion, but it was just kind of boring to me. I mean, like the some of the action scenes were really, really cool, but other than that, it was just it was terrible. But no, it wasn't like I wouldn't say it like an F. It's like for me right now, I would probably say it as like maybe like a C minus, because like my theater was packed and people did seem to enjoy it. So I mean, I guess that's, as long as somebody enjoyed it, that's all that matters.
I mean, it's like trying to find something good in it all is just so hard. Like, I mean, admittedly,
Leo's picture explained it all on Twitter. So.
Yeah. I mean, this movie, I really wish that this movie made us all of us, because I know some of us are looking forward to 10, but I wish it just made us all kind of kumbaya and come in here like, man, that was the best since Fast 5. Like, yeah. I went into this movie with high hopes, y'all, and maybe that was the wrong idea for a Fast movie, but the one right before this was Hobbs and Shaw, and Hobbs and Shaw was such a cool, refreshing take on the franchise, bringing in these new characters. I thought, okay, maybe one break away from Dom and crew could be cool to go back to them, but even Vin Diesel, John Cena aside, Vin Diesel was dry as a bone, y'all.
He was.
Like, it was just like there was no charisma. The dynamic between him and Letty was completely like dry and on the floor by this point. It feels like people are phoning in performances. It just didn't have the same charm that it had before. Even in Fast 8, people were coming to the camera ready to go with charisma and charm. And even though The Rock and Vin Diesel had their little feud going on, and there's like no scenes with them together in it, it still was fun and it still was awesome. But it almost, to me, after I got done with the film and I saw the post credit with Jason Statham, I'm like, maybe stripping the franchise of those characters, The Rock being the lubricant to this franchise and really reviving
Viagra?
it. Yes. Literally reviving this series. Removing him was a bad decision. It's like, man, taking Hobbs and Shaw out of this was probably what hurt this the most, in my opinion. But man, Cardi B, what the fuck, man? Ugh. What the hell?
Subtitles, please. Subtitles.
Next time, please. Only thing
at least she was only in it for like 40 seconds. So
that's 40 seconds too long.
That was a bad 40 seconds.
If you related to Isa Gonzalez, because I didn't understand a thing she said.
Oh, yeah, I actually kind of could follow everything that she was saying. But I mean,
of Isa, I understood everything Isa said. She's got my full attention.
No, but what I'm saying is,
full attention.
No, so is Cardi B's character, is she related to Isa Gonzalez?
Oh, I have no idea. I hope not.
Okay, I didn't know who she was. I didn't understand who she's supposed to be.
I don't
because
think
you didn't understand the lines.
I think she was just Dom's friend. Like, it was just kind of like
like one of the people he knew from before.
If it wasn't for you, I'd still be running gasoline in the DR. I'm like, dude, I just can't do this. Yeah. No, Cardi. Like,
Leo actually understood something she said. Kudos.
Yeah, I did. But Helen Mirren, I liked. I heard somebody say they didn't like Helen Mirren. I was like, the queen is here. This might be my favorite character of the damn movie, y'all. Like, in all honesty, but
Helen Mirren is here.
She always wanted to drive a car, so they had to let her drive a car.
Yeah, man, and she killed it. Like,
it was a good one. It was a good scene. Like, very, very much her style, like that character style of like how she would have a car chase. So
got that necklace, like, but she like dropped Dom off and was dressed for the party and didn't go. Like, what the hell? But
because Jacob told her to drop Dom, paid her to do it. That's why
she couldn't come in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, She couldn't go.
She
to
has
the
more
party.
stuff to steal, dude.
Fair.
Yeah.
She busy. She busy.
Busy,
She
man.
on that thief time, dog. Next question, guys.
I love when she asks, "Are you after one of my sons? One of my boys?"
I was like, please bring in Jason Statham, please. Or
Well, they
with
did.
us- Yeah, in the end, but I was hoping
end.
right then and there he would pull
Yeah,
up with
same,
something
same.
like, or Vanessa Kirby. I mean, anybody could.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get her into the main mix
I
of
love
the
it.
movies.
Same. I would
She
like
was
it.
awesome in Hobbs and Shaw. What a cool third character to their little dynamic. I
Make
love that.
a spin-off with just Helen Mirren, that's the mother, Christian, and Vanessa Kirby. Sean Shaw.
Oh my
I just don't want like even if
Shaw,
they do a
Shaw, and
spin-
Shaw.
Shaw,
Gotta bring
Shaw,
Owen in
Triple
too.
Shaw.
Yes.
Some Ed
The
and
Shaws.
Eddie shit all over
Shaws.
again.
The Shaw
I
brothers.
just don't want them to like do the spinoff and then it ends up just being the same thing as Fast and Furious, where it's like,
Yeah.
you know, you have like these great characters and everything starts off like really, really well, and then it's like milking, not even milking now. It's just like trying to pick like, you know, the last little tidbits of like meat off of like your drum or flat chicken wing, where it's like, okay, I mean, what?
You sucking the bone marrow out at this point.
Exactly. You're eating
Oh.
the cartilage, you're sucking out the bone marrow. There's nothing left.
Yeah, I think the most ridiculous part of this movie might just be that final sequence when Dom judo flips up out that vehicle. It crashes perfectly, y'all, perfectly into that jet, and Cypher's not even in the shit. I was like, "Are you joking?"
But
She's
it's
not even in
funny.
it.
And they show
I was
her
like,
in it,
nice.
too.
She's like a hacker. Like she's not gonna go and
Yeah.
actually like physically do the dirty work. Like
Charlize,
Thank
she
you,
was on-
Elisa.
She was on set for like one day, I bet. They was like, "Okay, we got you for
Oh,
7
for sure.
hours. Let's get you in this box," and then that was it.
She's gonna be the
Boom.
big bad. She's gonna be the Cersei Lannister of the Fast and Furious franchise.
I mean, she has been. She's been
Hungry.
orchestrating everything since the 6th movie.
Yeah.
So like, she's
Exactly.
been the main villain, but we just
She's
didn't
a big
know it for a
boss.
few of them.
Well, I hope in the next one she at least has a cool hairstyle, because this bowl cut and the dreads, I don't know, man. I was not
Damn,
feeling
bro.
that shit. I'm just being real, like.
No, it's not it, bro. It's just not
No,
it.
it's
I
not
looked
working
at her,
at all.
and I'm not gonna say what, but it just, I'm just like, why the fuck this haircut of all things in the world? You give her this?
Half around with an
Mad Max
undercut.
haircut. Just-
You liked it, Christian?
No, say she should have had like her Mad Max Fury Road cut.
Yeah,
I'm
she
down
should
with
shave that
that.
shit.
Anything other
I
than
like
that
her
bowl.
fast.
They-
I like her fate.
I don't want this Mo Howard haircut. I was like, what is
When
this?
when she was
She's
captured,
gonna
they're
have a
like,
mohawk next.
she has to
movie.
look good still.
See, if she got the mohawk, I'm down. But
Oh, yeah.
let's move into John Cena, y'all. Like, Lo, I'm gonna come to you first. Did he work for this movie? Was he good as Dom's brother? Did Jacob actually provide some good to this franchise, or was that just not a good decision at this point? What do you
It
think?
was a swing and a miss. A for effort. You know, John Cena does have a charisma to him. John Cena can be funny, and I think it was a mistake to try to put him in this quote-unquote villain role. It kind of reminded me of like Jason Statham as Shaw, where he was okay, but like Shaw was more fun when he joined the family.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think John Cena was miscast. He didn't feel right as Dom's brother. It felt forced. And to be honest, I liked the kid that played his character more than I liked him. I think his name
Finn
is
Cole.
Finn Cole. I think
Finn
he's
Cole.
Yeah.
I've seen him
He's
in
British.
Blinders, which I just started, and that kid was awesome. By the way, the kid that got to play Vin Diesel too. Those guys were great. I just wish we didn't see them like 5 times.
I thought I was watching The Young Rock for some reason when I was watching that show. That's what it felt like.
Hey, no disrespecting Young Rock.
Well, that kid they got, he looks like when Vin Diesel was breakdancing. Like he had that same kind of look.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He did look like a young Vin Diesel. And look, that
Yeah.
first flashback worked because it really established like throughout the series how much Dom had talked about his father and the fiery explosion. We finally got to see it. It was like, okay, that's cool that we're actually getting to see this much explained that catastrophe that really started the franchise. But then when they kept going back to it like Whiplash, it was like, okay, come on, man. This is too much with the memories, bro. Like,
Exposition.
yep, not helping at all. It's just exposition. But Ryan, what do you think about John Cena, man? Like, does he work for this? Does Jacob work as a character for this?
So
Jacob
I'm
with
gonna,
a K.
Yeah, with the K, they want to be extra trendy. They want to be extra trendy in this movie, and it's not like you pronounce it really. Just Jake. Jake. It's just like him getting strung on. I'm Jake. No, that's what it sounds like. But there's two issues with this. Half of it isn't Vin Diesel's, not Vin Diesel's. Well, yeah, actually, the other half is Vin Diesel's fault for casting him in the role. But the other problem is the writers decided to have Dom's brother as the villain. And it's two things that didn't work together. They're like, you know what? We'll take this that doesn't work, but then we'll cast a fucking John Cena as the Toretto brother that we've never seen and who's white at the same time. But you know what? It's not gonna work. That's gonna make one good thing that's gonna work. And nah, bro. This like honestly, his fucking brick chin just bothers me so much in this movie sometimes. Like, you know how Cypher was saying that thing about the bloodlines about whatever Jacob was in this movie that really they didn't know about. And I'm just like, bro, did like having a brick chin also run in the family? Because everyone else has a circular head, but that motherfucker, you could put some cement on it, put him on a house or some shit, and he'd fit in perfectly fine. But yeah, I don't think he was bad in the movie. I think he was just in the wrong role. I don't think Jacob could have been necessary in this, and I think you could say that about anyone that could really be in this role. I can't imagine really any actor working for this role. It's just more that I really wish John Cena would have played anyone else. And I don't think he's as threatening as we've seen with Hobbs, Deckard Shaw, or even Cypher, regardless of how I felt in the Fast 8 film about her. They all felt more formidable than John Cena. For some reason, John Cena just seemed like a crybaby version of Dominic Toretto with hair. That's really all it seemed like, and it just was a bad mix. It was like mixing two drinks that don't go together, taking a sip, being like, oh shit, that's bad, mixing it back together, taking another sip, hoping it tastes better, but you're like, oh shit, that's even worse. That's how I felt walking out of this movie.
Yeah, my whole thing when I was walking out, I was like, how come Jacob couldn't just pull Dom aside and be like, look, me and Dad set this up, this was on him, I didn't kill him. Why this whole I'm just gonna ride off into the sunset? Yeah. Like, Dom, you came, I'm gone. Why couldn't he just say, like, bro, like, let's talk about it real quick? Like,
yeah, it's one of those things where they could have had a conversation like 15 years before that would have like prevented all of this. But
he has to run away because they don't have Hobbs to give him pardons anymore. Whoops.
Yeah, well, say it like that.
It's true.
Yeah, it's just like BBS. All it takes is one conversation for the action to not fucking happen. Like, right. Come on, man.
Exactly. I'm tired of them making the villains turn good at the end, too. Like, how many more times are we going to do this that doesn't include Cypher? Because it seems like Cypher is just going to be the villain for 10 and 11 at this point. But the rest of them, everyone just turned good. And all the ones we do know that turn good are because of Cypher. So
well, I think it has to do with family, right? I mean, it's always coming back to family because the ones that turn good, right? The Shaws, and there's the Shaw family, right? We've got the spin-off Shaw and Shaw coming.
And Shaw, I mean, there's a fourth one.
Yeah.
We don't know about it.
Yeah. And so, I mean, and then obviously Jacob is part of the family. So I mean, I think that was one of the things that, at least from the trailers, like, I don't know about you guys, but I knew that he was not going to be like the villain the whole time. Like, it's one of those things that's like obvious. Yeah. Like, he's gonna turn, he's gonna team up with them, that there's gonna be an alliance at least. But I don't know. Like, I understand the kind of disappointment with the constant villain turned good guy thing, but I think it all, like I said, it comes back to kind of that core family pillar of the franchise.
Right. It's kind of like those villains that are just super duper cool. They're about to be part of the family. And if they're not directly at the table, there's
he's not cool. I don't know if they realize that. He's just not cool, though. At least Shaw kicks ass. Hobbs is a fucking boulder. Cypher's got her lack of a better term, dildo haircut. Like, bro,
God.
they all got their own separate characteristics. But John Cena's just so flat. And when he rode off in the sunset, I'm like, come on, Tyre, blow out, go over the cliff, blow out, go over the cliff. But you know what? This is a Fast franchise, and he wouldn't die anyway, so I knew it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, he'd have a parachute and he'd like fly.
He'd have a parachute like coming out of his spinal cord or some shit. He's like fucking going down the water. Next thing you know, he got gills on his butt cheeks or something. Like, I don't know. I believe anything at this point in this franchise.
We're going to Marianas Trench, Fast 10. Let's go.
I mean,
and find Atlantis.
Battle for Atlantis. Battle for Atlantis.
Hey, speaking of a Shaw, and Shaw, give me a Shaw family movie, and then Helen Mirren does the same family speech, but in like a British accent, like.
This summer, get ready for the wacky adventures of an actual family.
There you go. Yes. Luke Evans, Jason Statham, Vanessa Kirby. I'm all for it.
I'm for it.
And then you got to get somebody
A
for
British
Shaw
family.
Senior. You got to get the Shaw dad in there.
Yes.
Sylvester Stallone or somebody.
Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel Day-Lewis. Bring him into the Fast franchise.
Shaw and Shoddy. There you go.
Well,
or like
listen,
Ray Fiennes.
What did you think about John Cena?
I'm kind of torn on him. Like, I don't think he works perfectly well as this character, but I think he's fine within the franchise. I mean, it is weird having one of the kind of male action stars have hair in this franchise. I think that might be the thing. I think he just needs to be bald. That's really what's messing things up here. But I don't know. I thought he was okay. Like, I'm not his biggest fan, but like, you know, I think I don't know. I felt like he fit in this world, in this franchise, but not necessarily in the actual blood family. I don't know if I really like buy him as Jacob, but I mean, I think we all kind of went into this like, what? When we saw in the trailer that he has this brother, and we're all kind of like up in arms about how did we not possibly know about this? But I mean, the story, they make it work. I mean, it's ridiculous and maybe not satisfying to us, but I mean, they make it work by like having a somewhat reasonable reason for why we've never seen him before, never heard of him. And it's not like nobody knew. Like, obviously Mia knew about him, Letty knew about him. So the people who were part of the family way back, like when this happened, I don't know. I thought it was okay. And like, I don't know. Are we going to talk about the flashback stuff in another little segment, or is this part of it here?
Yeah, we'll do another little segment
All right.
on the flashbacks because
I have like a chronology thing to say about that, but we'll talk about there.
He's like, I have a few things to say.
All right, guys, let us know what you thought about Cena, man. Oh, you're muted.
He's muted. You're muted, bro.
My bad. Yeah, I have to head out after this. But anyway, my quick thoughts on John Cena. I thought I liked him in the Fast and Furious franchise, just like you said, Alyssa, but it wasn't the right role for him. Clearly, you know, Jacob was so clearly afraid of Dom's shadow. What he should have been afraid of was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's shadow, because that was truly like my take was, you know, him trying to stand up in this massive mountainous role like Hobbs. It just did not work. I mean, there were like literally no one-liners in this film, and that took away the fun element of this movie, Fast 9. Like, how many great one-liners did Hobbs have in Fast 5 and 6 and all that? Even Hobbs and Shaw had some amazing one-liners that I love. Like, that's like, to me, to the core, like, I'm an 80s action fan, 90s action fan. There was none of that in this movie. And John Cena, I think he at his best, he has some really strong comedic timing. He has some, you know, he's kind of witty. There's some wittiness about him when it comes to some other roles I've seen him play in comedies. And I thought it was just a missed opportunity to, like, you know, maybe have him as like that riff between him and Dom at the beginning, but he needed to be with Roman and Tej. He needed to be with like Michelle Rodriguez, like how she's just stoic and serious all the time. Like that, they missed an opportunity to have that banter going back and forth, and so that's on the writing, that's on the casting. But I like him in this role. And quickly on the flashbacks, because I got to go. I like the flashbacks. I thought it really worked. It just they didn't give enough time for it, and that just again goes back to the writing and what this movie, what they wanted it to be. The writers were clearly over their heads. But thank you.
Hey, Dives. What if he said like, "Oh, you'd be so far in my shadow, Dom, that you can't see me."
Oh, see,
Missed opportunities.
missed opportunities. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well,
See you guys.
Dives, thanks for joining us.
See you, man.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
Yeah, it's kind of like the little quips he was talking about. You know, it's like, Mia, you better hide that baby oil. You better hide that big ass forehead. Like they didn't have anything
Best talker on the
good
mic.
and
The
funny
Rock.
like that in this.
Yeah,
So
they
it was-
didn't make him like an entertaining character, even in his seriousness, like they had with other, like what you guys were saying with Hobbs, especially.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that in the 10th one, obviously he's going to be back. I mean, we know he's going to be back. How are they not going to bring him back in? I think they're going to make him more comedic, just like they've done before, right? Because like when Hobbs came in Fast 5, like he had the one-liners, but he was a really serious, like ridiculous, over-the-top character. And then he became this more comedic character in the later ones. Same thing with Shaw. He was a really intense, serious, like villain, and then they made him comedic. And so I think we're going to see that same pattern with Cena as well.
That gives me a little bit of hope because you have a good point there. They always got to stick up their ass in the first appearance, and then the next one they're like, "What's up, y'all? I'm ready for the barbecue." Like, you ready to go? Ren, what'd you think, man? John Cena?
I'm going to defend Cena a little bit because I thought he was good. The problem is his role was extremely underwritten. Like I talked about, like the turn. I don't even like to call it a turn because it's barely that in the film. But like in when they're in the hideout and the team comes in with Otto, and Cena gets the key that turns out to be a person and gets the two halves of the sphere, and Dom says something to him about their dad, and he's like, "You thought you knew you thought you knew Dad, Dom? You don't know shit." And he has this entire little brother trying to one-up his big brother energy, and I think that really works for the film, especially in that scene. But throughout this film, he has that energy of the little brother that, "Oh, I'm going to show you I'm better than you, big bro," and I think that really works. As a villain, again, he's just undermined by the presence of Otto, by the fact that he doesn't do anything much, by the fact that, I know we're not talking about flashbacks, but this relates to the flashbacks, that of all the flashbacks that we got to explain their relationship, not one flashback explained to us why he's going to use this world-destroying sphere that he needs like, he wants to get revenge on Dom. That's it. Like, why is he involved in this world-destroying plot that he doesn't feel like he belongs to because of where they position him? Like, in terms of the ranks, as far as the villains in this film is concerned, it's Jacob. Otto is on top of him, and from the beginning, you don't doubt that Cypher is going to outsmart everyone around her. So I think the problem is really how the role was structured, how it was written, or underwritten in this case. But I think Cena himself does actually a really great job of what he is given in the context of this film.
Yeah, that's well said, because I mean the character of Jacob I think is interesting and can work, but man, I don't know. When I was just even watching, I was like, he looks nothing like Vin Diesel, and I know.
Oh yeah, I don't believe they're brothers. I don't believe they're brothers.
Right? It's like, come on, man. Y'all couldn't get like a Latinx actor to come play his brother. I don't know, man. It wasn't working for me.
We don't know if they have the same mother. They never say anything
That's
about
the
that.
thing.
So
they probably don't. But
brothers.
if they had showed the mother, the mother
really
in any of the
secret.
movies, I think it would have worked.
There's
mean,
a plot
Vin
point for
Diesel
10.
keeps it. Yeah,
Finding Toretto's mom.
Vin Diesel says that in like interviews, like he keeps it really secret about who the mom is. I mean, obviously because he doesn't fucking know, probably, but he wants us to believe that it's something that's gonna come. But they're at least they're thinking about it years ahead of time this time.
It's gonna be Queenie Shaw.
Yeah,
He's a
it was
Shaw,
you
too.
that said it.
He's
I
a
was like,
Toretto and a Shaw.
somebody in here said it, and it was you, wasn't it, Ren? That was like, "Oh, Mama Shaw."
I don't think
is
so.
his mom.
I think I'm saying it for the first time.
Oh, somebody said it, I think, in the group chat, like, watch it be the Shaw's mom, and then they're all.
I would
just
love to
Shaw.
take credit, but I can't.
So then one of them would be a Shaw. So it would be Shaw, and half Shaw.
Fast and the
Yes.
Shaws.
Shaw,
watch that
and
movie.
The Shawshank Redemption.
Bingo.
I mean, it's right there.
The Shaw Redemption.
Christian, what you
Showdown.
thinking about the John Cena?
Showdown.
So for John Cena, he didn't really, like I said before, he didn't really work for me in this role. He just had like his performance seemed like very, very stiff from what I saw, and it just didn't. I don't know, like it kind of like makes me worried about like, okay, like his is his performance in Fast 9 going to be the same as, let's say, the Suicide Squad? But it seems like in the Suicide Squad, you know, he's more
No, he's way different.
at himself.
They take
you know,
advantage
more
of his comedic chops.
Yeah, like it just, I don't know. I wasn't really falling for it. It didn't really make sense that he was Dom's brother. Like Leo said, they could have gotten like a Latinx, just anybody else. But it's like, oh no, well, okay, so The Rock's not in it. Let's bring in another wrestler. And it's like, oh, John Cena. And it's like, I honestly feel like he's only there just for the box office, to be completely honest. It's kind of like when they shoved like Cardi B into Hustlers, where it's like, okay, like it made sense, but it's like, does she really need to be there? Does John Cena really
doesn't
need to be
anywhere?
Or like when they shoved Cardi B into this movie.
Yeah, that's it. She's making
Well said, Alyssa.
She's making her rounds like MGK is in all these Netflix movies. It's
Oh
like,
my god.
where are you coming from? Like it's just like, I want to be in that movie. No, I want, like he's little like droplets. Like here, they're little cameo appearances. So I kind of just wish she was. I wish it was somebody else. Like I didn't need to see John Cena in this movie. Like, yeah, it's huge star power, but like anyone else would have been fine. Literally anyone. And it's just like it's not believable.
and not to mention, Vin Diesel comes out the day before it debuts in theaters, talking about, oh well, I brought the best performance out of The Rock with some tough love, and I'm like, okay, so you did that, but you couldn't do it with John Cena apparently, because he's funny. He's got, blockers. But Bumblebee, I liked him in those movies.
Yeah, I did
he looks like you were saying, Christian. He looks like he's gonna be funny in the Suicide Squad, but we couldn't bring that out of him here. Like there was no funny little quips, one-liners.
He literally gave us that like Sebastian Stan stare like the entire time.
Speaking of stares, him and Dom, did they ever have a different facial expression?
No.
Like they're like bunched up.
No.
I mean, how are you guys saying that they don't look like each other then? They're obviously family.
They got the family stare, the Toretto stare. It's all there.
It's funny you guys mentioned Toretto, and we've not even mentioned Mia for an entire hour. That's how forgettable of a role she has in this movie.
Oh,
well, I say Mia.
I think it was okay.
It
was nice to have her back.
Yeah,
I like to see her speaking Portuguese in the end of the film. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
I had no idea she was half Brazilian until like
me neither. She's speaking Portuguese, and I'm like, I understand you without not that I need subtitles for English. Like my language, right there.
Bryn's like, boom, I'm in it. But it's like, she actually had a better role in this movie than all the other movies. Like she was just Brian's girlfriend in the other movies, and here she's like kicking ass. Apparently, she was
that fight
in
scene in the apartment, that was like, that kind of came out of nowhere, but it worked. I thought like that she could do it. I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I mean, she's been with this group for 20 years now. Why wouldn't she know how to fight?
Looks like Lo did not like that.
I think the problem.
It just came out of left field. It's like, oh, Mia can fight now. Like, I don't know. Like, it's fine. Whatever.
She's a Toretto. That's all they need to say. She's a Toretto. Boom.
I like that they know how to fight, especially Mia, because it was more a surprise on her part, not so much Letty. But I thought that scene itself, how it was shot, was horrible. It was atrocious.
Yeah, it was choppy, cuts everywhere. Like I'm getting
they're shooting around the legs and then panning up for them to hit like their punch or something. I'm like, stop.
All these
static
ways you can't
static shots.
I don't think you even seen a punch land. It was just like, oh, let's catch the back up. Let's catch the bottom half up so we won't see that. Yeah, it's not Michelle Rodriguez. You know that, but we're gonna make it look like it is.
Shouts out to their stunt doubles.
Yeah, right.
For real, because Mia Toretto, I guess, needed one. But there's so much more to talk about. But Lo, let us know, man. A couple questions. I got a couple for you. The flashbacks, did they work? And then, what do you think about the Tokyo Drift crew coming back into the fray?
So the flashbacks I didn't mind, but Alyssa brought up a good point. I think it could have been structured better. That was you that said that, right, Alyssa?
Yeah, but there's something else too in addition to structure. But yeah.
Okay, no, I'll let you continue on with that. But I just felt like there was no flow to the way that it was dropped on us, and the way that Ren said it. It was like, all right, the audience needs to know this flashback, and it was just like, oh shit, like shove it down our faces, or like rub our faces in it already. But like I said, the kids that played young Dom and young Jacob they were pretty good. I liked them. Also, did you guys catch that when Jacob and Dom race in LA, there we have like a young Letty, a young Vince, and a young Mia? That was pretty cool. That was actually a pleasant surprise, even though they didn't say anything. You could just tell by their clothes and the way they looked. I was like, aha!
I couldn't.
Really? Oh,
they cut to him a couple times.
Yeah,
like
the guy
it
that
was like
was
they kept
young
going
Vince.
back, and I'm like, oh okay, like I get
Yeah,
it.
the guy that was young Vince was a ringer for that guy. So that
Oh,
was
dude, yeah.
And wasn't there a guy that was I'm blanking on his name? He was always at Race Wars. They brought him
Hector?
back in the last. Yeah,
Yeah,
wasn't there
Hector.
Hector too? Like
Hector.
I thought there was a young Hector as well.
I think so, but God, we need more Hector. I was so happy when I saw him in 7.
Damn, all that flew over my head, man. When you were talking about the young ones, I was like,
Oh, you
Yeah,
must
I
have
didn't
missed
see
that
him.
one, man. But yeah, so like that. Okay, that race worked for me, but I felt like we went back to the original intro too many times. We just kept going back there, and then like I even felt like the conversation with Michael Rooker, who I love, it just didn't feel like it needed to be in the movie. Like Michael Rooker didn't really give him anything. It was just more drama that just dragged on. Like the first 40 minutes is kind of a drag, honestly, once we get out of Monte Quinto. But yeah, what was the follow-up question, Leo?
how did you feel about the Tokyo Drift crew?
Oh, I love those guys. See, okay, so the first 40 minutes was a drag, but when they came in, I was like, yay, this is awesome. I love those guys. God, I can't remember his name, but the kid from Better Luck Tomorrow, the Asian guy who's like have a British accent. Twink.
Young
Bow
June
Wow,
from
obviously.
Warrior.
What was that?
Young June from Warrior. That's how I know him.
Oh, he's in Warrior? I gotta watch that.
He's in Warrior, yeah.
That guy's awesome. I love that guy. And Lucas Black, like I said, he surprised me. Maybe some of these guys do comedy better because he's actually kind of funny, and like his country twang fit in with like, oh, let's send something into space. I'm gonna build a rocket. Like it just kind of it worked. It worked. Like let's strap a rocket to a Nissan Fiero. Giddy up. Like yeah, like that is great. Like that is awesome. Why didn't he do that in Tokyo Drift? Otherwise, he'd been like way more fun. So yeah, I loved it. But again, like we didn't get enough of them, and I think it was more of a glorified cameo for them. So I liked it.
Yeah, Sean Broswell actually had some good screen time this time. Because, oh my God, he was horrible in Tokyo Drift. Oh man, but Ryan, what did you think about the flashbacks and then the Tokyo Drift crew popping up?
Man, I really didn't like the flashbacks. They just felt so weird to me. I don't know if it was the idea of just seeing a younger Dom after all this time. I mean, it just had its 20th anniversary, and this is like the first time we're really seeing a young Dom. I'm just like, wait, am I really watching this real quick? But I'm just like, I kind of enjoyed it at first, but as they kept going on, I'm just like, do we really need to keep going back to this? And they kept trying to be like fucking cool or trendy and trying to match shots from previous day and then going into the past, like at the end when Dom brought Brian to the racetrack. I'm like, oh man, you guys are trying to make up for it to make a cool transition, aren't you? That's what it really felt like they wanted to do. They're like, oh man, we got to tell the story in the past and the future, try to connect it, intertwine. But yeah, like the whole thing is with Jacob, like you guys said, is being in Dom's shadow. I never got that. He never felt like he was in his shadow to me because they mention it. I think it was the very first one, the flashback that we get when the movie opens, where they're showing that he's kind of like the bus boy. He's the one over there. He's the one that listens to dad. He's not the one that really helps the father talk about it because we see Dom doing that. But then they tell us that the father goes behind Dom's back and asks for Jacob's help. So I don't really know how much I believe Jacob being in Dom's shadow if his father still went to him for situations. Because if he didn't want to go to him, then I'd feel like he'd go into Dom's shadow because he'd go to Dom all the time. But the one time they show him, he doesn't go to Dom, he goes to Jacob. So I guess that takes it a little bit out for me. but I didn't really like the flashbacks. I don't know if it was like the way you guys said it, the way they were arranged or something, but I do want to see it again to get like more of a firm opinion on it, because those kind of threw me off. I wasn't expecting that many flashbacks. But when it comes to the Tokyo Drift crew, it's nice to see them, but they don't feel like the same characters from Tokyo Drift. I'm like, how are you guys flying planes, making fucking car rockets in Germany when you were just drifting the fucking Tokyo King a few years ago? Because in context of the timeline, this is only like 4 years from Tokyo Drift or some shit. But Tokyo Drift came out in like 2006, and this dude aged like 25 years.
Yeah, Sean is like, yeah,
Dude,
that's like,
Sean-
you look at him and you're like, he's like,
And he's not the
42,
only one.
and he's like,
No, Bow Wow
3
too.
years out of high school. Like,
Like, bro, you look like this dirty, ram in the sack dude that works on cars for the past 30 years. You got that whole scruff going.
Whole life.
And I'm just like, bro, what is going on? It was funny, but I think I was laughing more at the fact that how well it didn't fit into the movie rather than actually being funny, because I think Tokyo Drift is one of the better Fast and the Furious movies on my end. I know a lot of people don't believe that. They like to say that's the bottom of the barrel, which I heavily disapprove with. But I always felt like the Tokyo Drift cast kind of got backhanded, because we found out at the end of 6 that Tokyo Drift has happened in the future to the movies we saw. So you kind of get why they weren't in those next few movies afterwards, because that was my question. I'm like, when are you guys going to introduce them? Because Dom knows who they are. But that was a good explanation. And then in Fast 7, they're like there for a second, and then they disappear again, and they're like, oh wait, we need more characters for this movie for whatever fucking reason, so let's just take these characters that we've never really used before. And you're just like, oh, okay, cool, here you guys go. You're fucking astronauts. You're everything now. You're not just Tokyo Drifters anymore. You're fucking NASA workers. You're building rockets with Gorilla Glue, Flex Seal, whatever the fuck you want to use. That's exactly what they're doing. So I'm sitting there, I'm just nodding my head. I'm like, man, bro, I'm excited to see them. But like, even the reunion with Han and them wasn't good, because that was the first time they saw Han again. I'm just like, bro, you watched him die. And then even though it got retconned a few hundred times already, it's just like, bro, what the fuck? You guys could have at least shown a little bit more hearts. I'd be like, hey man, I missed you. Yeah, I know it's been a few years and I thought you blew up in a car, but you know what? You're here, you're safe now. And the haircut doesn't really work, and you just picked up a daughter out of nowhere that aged like 16 years in a matter of 4 years, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Actually, hey, I my bad, Leo. I actually forgot to talk about that.
Me too. I cannot wait to get to the flashbacks, because I'm going to talk about that.
I'm gonna let you guys go, but oh my god,
Woo!
none of Han's flashbacks worked for me.
Dude,
Like,
nope.
oh hey look,
Nope.
I was sent to get the sphere by Mr. Nobody. I was like, what? Like, no, like stop. He's double agent Han now. Anyways, go ahead, guys.
They couldn't afford Gal Gadot, so they went ahead and pulled some archive footage out their ass.
Oh my god,
Like, man,
every single Han flashback. I was like, ugh. And then Ren said it. They didn't even explain how he got out of the damn car. I was like, I'm over it.
Around it somehow. Like, how did you guys explain around it with addressing the issue itself? Like, good job on that.
They essentially explained that he got out of the car, and I'm like, we got that part.
Like, he's standing right there. No fucking shit, he got
The
out.
shot is literally him in the car, suffering, about to
disappears.
die. Jason Statham walks in front of him, and then after he walks in front, he's gone. And it's like,
Oh, that's a
how did
cool
you
magic
get
trick.
out?
Yeah, and it didn't even change angles to like keep you mystery. Like, oh, maybe he pulled a fucking Nick Fury and went into a manhole or something, or like took a fucking laser, which would have been more believable. And
Perfectly
go into the
believable. In the
like,
Fast and
that's
Furious
what I
context,
thought
that
they
would
were
have been
gonna do.
perfectly believable.
Yeah,
I would have
right?
loved
Like-
that.
Like, what? You could have explained it super easily, but you guys quite literally dug yourself into the ground
Yeah.
unintentionally. Like, what the fuck?
Or
Him
just like
disappearing
Letty,
from shot is not an explanation.
just like Letty, just kind of get out the other side of the car. It explodes.
Exactly. We
I think
saw
what
it.
they did-
We saw
what
her
they did
dream
was-
Was in
crawling.
this movie.
what it
That's all I
probably
gotta
is
say.
Giselle pulls him out, but they can't show us that yet. So they're saying
Wonder Woman, she was very fast.
we're gonna get like a 6th look at this car wreck in the next movie, and it's gonna be like Giselle pulling him out.
Yep, she pulls him out, and then she dies in the explosion because they can't afford Gal. It's just like, oh yeah, that explains it all. But Alyssa, what do you think about the flashbacks in the Tokyo Drift crew?
So, the flashbacks. So not talking the Han flashbacks yet, because I know we're gonna talk him. But the Vin or the Dom and Jacob flashbacks, I thought they were okay. Like, I agree that they kind of went a little overboard with them. They kept going back to like I can't remember who mentioned it. Maybe multiple. Many of you guys mentioned it, that they keep going back to like the same moment a bunch of times. And so that was kind of a little overkill. But I didn't actually mind it. I kind of, like one of the things I really like about this franchise is how they've been able to like connect everything after, even with Tokyo Drift, right? Like, who would have thought they'd ever be able to bring that like somehow into kind of the timeline. But I liked how, they kind of expand on some of the stuff we already kind of had heard about in the past. Think back to like the first movie, right? They talk about this, right? Like Dom has that whole thing, like explaining, like, telling Brian about his dad and saying like, oh, I watched him die. Like he was screaming, I could hear it, but turns out it was me screaming. It's like, we got to see that. And we knew that he went to jail because he almost beat the guy to death with a wrench. And like, we get to see that. And so
you hit him
I kind of liked that, well, he hit him a few times, but, but I did like the look at the lore here. So I kind of like that, but the like you guys were mentioning, they do kind of bring it in a little too frequently. I think the sort of, I guess, hallucination dream sequence when Dom's like in the water was a little eye rolling, but it's exposition, whatever. And kind of you must love the transitions there with that one too. But the thing that kind of bothered me, and not like bothered me in a way that it like ruined it for me or anything, is like I don't understand the timing, because those flashbacks, right? They say in the very beginning, it says 1989, right? But like we know from previous movies, right, that Dom was born in 76. So like he's 13. That does not look like a 13-year-old kid to me. Like, so like, it just like, I was like, why is this 89? Why not like 92, 93? Like, it didn't make sense to me. Like,
simple
the
math,
timing
guys.
with that.
Like, come on.
Now they gotta correct the timeline. There we go.
I know the answer to that, Alyssa. It's because they wanted to use the
For the time
Universal
travel.
logo from 1989.
I did notice that. I liked that when it opened. At first I was like, shit, am I in the wrong theater?
I thought the same. I thought the
I was like,
same.
oh man, like what am I seeing? And I was like, well, it is Universal, but like, why are they using the old intro? And then I was like, oh, okay.
I actually enjoyed that. I was like, oh, hey,
I
this
like
might
that
be
too.
great.
Me
And then
too. And as soon as I saw young Vin Diesel, I'm like, okay, I'm in the right. I'm in the right. one.
I'm in the right one.
So
This is
kudos to the
impressive while
casting.
you're on,
Kudos
keep
to
it
the
down.
casting on young Vin.
Speaking of young Ren, what did you think about it? The flashbacks and then the Tokyo Drift crew.
I didn't talk about the Tokyo, but well, whatever.
Oh yeah.
I forgot.
Touch on that, bro. Touch on that.
She was
So
like,
I liked it. I agree with what these guys have already said, that it was more, they were like kind of glorified cameos, but I liked it. I liked seeing Twink again. I mean, they brought him back now, so we just gotta get Suki back. Like, she's like the only one fast. Like, I don't know why they haven't brought Suki back at some point, but I like that. I like seeing Bow Wow. And obviously Sean, the like 45-year-old, barely in college kind of age guy. But then bringing Earl back in too, that was kind of a surprise. So like I was like, wait, he looks from, and I'm like, oh, it's him. Like, so I liked it. Whatever. It is ridiculous that they're building rockets and like using Pontiac Pharaohs to like go into space. But I mean, it's Fast and Furious, so it worked for me.
Pontiac
I
Pharaoh?
enjoyed the cameo.
Yeah. Oof. I think Lucas Black was way better in this movie than Tokyo Drift. And if
I
he brought
agree.
that
I think
same
the comedy that you guys are mentioning, like it works for him. He was way too serious, and like I don't know, it just didn't work in Tokyo Drift for me, his character. And so I like the comedic tinge they gave him here.
Yeah, like why couldn't you be that in Tokyo Drift, bro? Like, that's who you really are. Like, bring that out. Bring it out. All right, Ram, what'd you think, man? Flashbacks, Tokyo Drift.
I didn't like the flashbacks. Like many of you already said, like they revolve around this same one moment, And their structure, the way they're inserted into the film, they're treated as exposition. It's not like the characters of Dom or Jacob are like, I remember this time when, and then we go into, it's just, hey, audience, here's something you need to know. I didn't like going back to always the same moment. I didn't like that we saw how the relationship was damaged, but we never see how it was in the first place. And any emotion that comes from that damaged relationship is never shown in John Cena or Vin Diesel. It's always shown how it affected them in the past, in the flashbacks. And we have the race, and Jacob loses, and he yells out to Cringy, "No!" and runs away. But then we don't see, okay, so from then to now, how are you guys affected by this? We don't see it. And that was one of my biggest issues with the film. We never see any moment where the characters are thinking about what is happening to them. How is it affecting them? Because the previous movies are ridiculous as well, but we always have moments, at least moments, microseconds to see them reacting to something. And we were never really shown that in this film. The Han flashback, oh my, when he goes to get the sphere, it feels like they forgot that they actually retroactively placed Tokyo Drift in 2014. Because that young girl, she says it herself, I was 11. Okay, you're 25 now. Only 6 years or 7 have passed. You're not 17. You're not 16 or 17. I don't buy that for a second. We talked enough about how Han disappearing is not an explanation whatsoever. And it's frustrating because I like these movies. I've liked them since 5. I don't care about the previous ones. I don't care about the car culture, so the stakes are too low for me to even care. But from 5 onwards, man, these turn into legit great action movies with charming enough characters, likable enough characters, compelling enough characters. But in this, everything just seems like it's in the way for them to get into the next action set piece. And then it doesn't add up. Let me talk about the going to space, because I don't believe I did, but you guys already said it. Like, the ridiculous in that would be, like, who thought we would see Taj and Roman in space? That's already ridiculous enough. They didn't need to go in a car. Go in a... Steal a fucking spaceship. You're thieves, right? From the original movie, so go back to those roots, steal a spaceship and go to space. It's already incredibly funny, the fact that they're in space and then they shoot out a car because they have to blow up the satellite. And somehow they had a car in the spaceship. That would be really funny. That would be the right amount and the right kind of ridiculous, for me at least. So the flashbacks didn't work whatsoever. Not to mention the pool of convenience when Vin Diesel falls in and has all those convenient memories that don't really explain anything when you really think about it. It's like, oh, Jacob was telling the truth, and then Dom doesn't even tell, oh, Jacob, you were right, I was wrong. Oh, I'm sorry, blah blah. No. There's a lot of people coming after you. Goodbye, and he goes away. No, these flashbacks. There was a way to do all the things that they did in this film, but they did it the wrong way for me.
Yeah, well said, man. Them flashbacks. The fact that it was the same scene every time.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, why do you keep bringing us to the same moment over and over and over? This is whiplash. Yeah. Like, help us out. Give us a little bit
and the
more.
moment when young Dom finds out, like, that Jacob meddled with something in the hood of the car, and then it cuts to him getting out of prison with this upbeat song, and I'm like, tonal shift a bit, okay.
Well, at least we got to see Leo and Santos, how he meets them. So that was
that was a cool little.
I always appreciate Portuguese speakers, so yes.
Hey, this franchise hasn't had enough Leo and Santos. They've been missing for a while. Like, I love those guys. You're always so negative, bro.
I mean, they forgot one of them by the end of the movie.
Yeah,
I forgot which one it was, but they didn't want to come back, I guess, or something.
Yeah, they were like, go start a restaurant or whatever.
You got a restaurant in fucking Brooklyn, like
in Brooklyn, and the food is shit.
But the hipsters eat it up. Christian, what'd you think, man? Flashbacks and Tokyo Drift.
So I feel like a lot of people already hit the nail on the head, but I will say, when during the moments I was conscious during my first viewing, I swear every single time, like, I woke up I swear it was the flashback scene every single time. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I swear I've seen this before. What's going on with that?
I've only slept for a few seconds.
Exactly. It's like, I was like, am I in the right movie? And even like when you guys are touching on the Universal, like
Fast
the
and
old
the
school logo,
Flashback.
I was like, this is
You're already in another screening late in the evening. You'll be asleep for
Exactly.
hours.
I fell asleep. I'm like, oh man. It's like, oh, Jurassic World. Let's go. Yeah, it's just for some other film. So I'm sorry, guys. I fell asleep on the
Audience
other
members
movie.
around you change. You're like, wait.
You're in my
Wait a
seat.
minute.
No, I'm not. I'm in this seat.
It's like, was I watching?
That's the
Minions?
2 p.m. screening. It's 9 p.m. in the evening. Get out.
Like you
Right.
wake up and you're like, damn, did they cut to another movie? Like,
Exactly. Did I move theaters? Like, where am I? And I mean, it was nice to see the the Tokyo Drift crew. Like, it was weird to see Bow Wow because I haven't seen him in like ages, and I was like, okay, obviously, he's older, whatnot, but it was really nice to see them for sure. But that's pretty much my take. I was kind of tired of those flashbacks. I'm like, we get it. Like, like if it was only in the beginning, like Dives has said, the first 40 minutes were like a drag. And that's probably why I fell asleep, to be completely honest. But it's like, I mean, if you guys really can't, like, this is supposed to be Fast and Furious, like, as ridiculous as it is, I feel like if you're not grabbing my attention within like the first like 10 to 15, maybe even 20 minutes, it's like, I'm out. Like, this is the 9th movie in this huge franchise. It's like, let's get the ball rolling. We don't have to keep going back to these flashbacks. We get it. Let's go back to the ridiculousness, but not anything too crazy. But
I mean, let's not forget that apparently they can drive over landmines now and not blow their cars up after God knows how
As
many
long as they're
landmines.
fast enough.
They're going 80 miles an hour.
Furious
gotta
enough.
go fast.
Edge did the math. I mean, it's okay.
And
They
the
did the
mines
math.
will conveniently blow up the other cars, just not their car.
Yes,
Not theirs.
exactly.
Bro, I love how it blows up Roman's car. Of course it's Roman's car because his car is always the one that gets destroyed when he drives by himself. And then, bro, they show so many overhead pan shots of where they're driving. Not a single rock in sight, but the one time he hits a mine, he falls in between these two perfectly sized rocks, upside down, on top of a landmine. As he has to jump out, his head almost crashes into it. He walks up, the car falls in the mine, and then almost gets crushed by it. And then they're like, oh, is he finally dead, Tej says. And then they're like, how the hell are you not dead, man? I'm asking the same fucking thing, Tej. How the fuck is he not dead?
That was actually pretty funny. That was like the one moment I didn't mind.
I was laughing at the movie because of how ridiculous and how far off that just went out of nowhere.
I'll
Yeah.
admit,
Isn't,
right after
isn't that
the
part of the appeal of this franchise, though, that you laugh at how ridiculous things get? I don't know. Like,
But at least in the others
they.
they explain it. It doesn't make sense, but they do explain it.
But there's like, because
Like in this one is literally,
happened.
I don't know. Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, after the Cardi B sequence, I'll admit I just fell into a laughing fit because I was just like, this is just so fucking ridiculous. Like I laughed for a good 5 to 10 straight minutes, like just on and off.
I fell
laughing,
into
laughing.
I mean,
an eye
when they
rolling
get into
fit.
space, like when they were like the rocket pieces were like disattaching, and I was just like, they're doing this, like this is really in space. So I mean, like I definitely had some of those like, are you kidding me, laughing moments. But that, for me at least, since like Fast 5, that's been one of the things I like about the franchise, one of the sources of enjoyment from these films for me.
And see, nobody like it was like it seemed like they were gonna sacrifice themselves, which I would
Leo.
hate for
Yeah,
Roman.
they
and
kept
Ted
like
to-
doing that. Yeah.
Leo, that's a great question
With
because,
Dom too.
bro, think about this. So let's say everything went to plan with the satellite. How did they plan on getting down? I know the math and all that said something, but they have no parachute or anything to stop them from falling once they reach orbit, because right before they like jump off to go up, I forgot if it was Lucas Black or the other character. in the cockpit saying, if they fall and fuck this up, they're dead either way. Like, bro, so
Yeah, it was
they're
the
still
other guy.
falling no matter
Yeah.
where they go, as long as they complete the mission. As dude, it's just like, what the
Would you
fuck?
guys think that would have improved the movie at all if they actually did sacrifice themselves? Because I thought they were gonna do it. I was like, oh
I wouldn't
shit.
believe if they sacrifice themselves. I wouldn't believe they're
I
dead.
don't think
That's the
Yeah.
problem.
they're not the characters to do that though. Like if
Okay.
somebody was
Yeah,
gonna
they
sacrifice,
didn't-
it wouldn't be the comic relief characters. I don't think. I don't
Yeah,
think
Yeah,
that
I
would
think it'd be
have
the Tokyo
impact.
Drift, the Tokyo Drift trio if they like.
But if
went
you guys
out
remember,
Yeah.
like Tyrese went into a monologue, like, you know what? We are not invincible, and they did like a slow motion dramatic, like we can get hurt, but you know what? If we're gonna go out, this is how we should do it. And then Tyrese was like, okay, you know, and I was like, oh shit, are they about to die?
I mean,
They,
Vin
they
Diesel
didn't
did get
exactly
shot
have
in the
a
chest.
pathos to it. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
think
right.
it would have worked because you're like, oh, okay, the funny characters died.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, the thing
yeah.
they tried to do that a few times with Dom too. Like his sacrifice, like somehow pulling on chains, like makes the whole
Oh my
the
God.
whole thing they were standing on fall. But like,
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
one of those
how
things
did
where
Him holding
we
back
know
20
he's not
guys?
gonna
Dude,
die.
how did
I
Letty
know.
even save him?
Yeah, the fourth. Yeah, it was just.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
then
how
he's
did
just
Letty
standing there in the,
so
in the
hard.
little thing. It's like, okay, he's doing this so you can get away, but you're like ruining that by just standing there staring out this
Yeah.
little window at him.
And he
like,
locked the door. though,
also,
so-
also, it would have been much more. It would have been much more practical for Dom to get up that ladder and just kick the
Was
guys
it?
in the head who were coming up.
I
would have been the
thought
easiest
for
thing to
sure
do.
that when they were in the previous room, when all the like the smoke grenade pins came out, I thought they
Yeah.
were like actual grenade pins at first. I thought they were all
Me
going to
too-
start
me too.
exploding, and I was like, ah, why didn't they do that? But then it was because they needed to have
Yeah.
They
Dom
wanted
hold
to-
back 40 guys.
Yeah, like
and he also
okay.
turned into Bane. He like lifts them up, breaks their back.
He's like,
Oh, he's just
"Hello,
chucking
He's
them
always
bro.
like a Hobbs
Beyblades,
there. That's like
bro.
stuff that Hobbs was doing.
Yeah, I'm just like, bro, you guys don't need Dwayne Johnson anymore. You got Vin Diesel and his powers. You guys are good.
He was in Riddick mode. That's what it was. When the minute he started doing that, I was like, okay, is this Chronicles of Riddick now? Like, pitch black?
I mean, if they cross over the franchise at this point, like, why not? Why not? Like,
Watch his eyes
Underrated
change.
movies.
This was me the
Underrated
whole
trilogy.
time. I am Riddick.
All right, guys, let's do one last go around. Let me know what you thought about Han's involvement, what you would give this movie out of 10, and then where we can find you on social media.
Oh, is that starting with me?
Yeah, starting with my fault.
I love Song Kang. I
Song Kang.
love Song Kang, but he just felt shoved right back in. It felt like everything about his flashbacks and his storyline just didn't feel right. He's all of a sudden an operative for Mr. Nobody, and I don't know. There's just so many issues I have with it, especially like how much I like his character. I just feel like they fumbled the ball here. Here's when I knew this film had a problem. I don't know if you guys remember The Hangover 3, but I remember The Hangover 3, the post-credit scene made me laugh harder than I did the entire movie. I think that was a scene where Ed Helms had boobs or whatever. But see, this film had that same problem. Like, I really liked the ending with Brian's car pulling up. Oh,
That was
like there's
great,
one chair
yeah.
left. That really got me. I was like, that's nice. And then they had the post-credit scene with Shaw, with beating the crap out of that bag, but there's a person in the bag. I was like, yes, that is freaking awesome. So when the post-credit scene gets me more hyped than I was hyped in the film, then you have a problem. So that's one thing I'll say about something I liked. And thank you, Leo, for having me on. Proud member of the Geekly Goods team and a proud member of the Seat Up Geeks with Ryan. You can follow us at the Seat Up Geeks. Yeah, thanks. It was awesome meeting you guys too. Nice to meet you, Alyssa.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Right on. All right, let's move on. Ryan, what'd you think about Han? Overall score for this movie, and then where can we find you?
Oh shit, I didn't even give it a score. I'll give it a 3.5. Sorry.
Man, that's
Ooh.
considerate, bro. That's considerate.
Out of 5?
Consider it, damn.
Yeah, that's
Wait, out
considerate.
of 5 or out of 10?
I thought just
Three-
let's do out of
3.5 out of
10.
10.
Let's do out of 10. Let's do out of 10. My fault.
Okay.
So you're
Okay.
a 7 low? You're a 7 out of 10?
No, 3.5 out of 10.
Oh shit.
Oh,
Damn,
okay.
wow.
Damn.
Woo.
Damn,
Yikes.
bro.
All right,
Damn.
Ryan, let us know, man.
Man, bro, they did my boy Han dirt to the capital Tay. Dirt, hey, bro. Holy shit. I loved Han in Tokyo Drift, and then I was really happy they actually brought him back, even though it didn't make sense at the time. But it's just like, hey, Han's back, and I think he had a really good dynamic with everyone, and he had like one of the stronger relationships with Giselle, I'd say, in the Fast franchise, which isn't saying a whole lot, but still at the same time. And I thought it was ballsy for them to kill him. And I know they brought Letty back, but I feel like at this point we just are numb to characters dying because we don't really feel like they're gonna actually be dead at this point. I mean, they've retconned Tokyo Drift 2 times at this point, and I'm sure they'll do it again by the 11th one. I'm sure they will, because that just seems like their gem child. They're like, hey, we know Tokyo Drift doesn't have these characters, but let's just keep retconning it to make it important for the next films. That's how they keep doing it. And Han was just so poorly done in, I don't even want to say explanation to how he survived, because we touched on this earlier. They talk around it. They say that he just got out or just disappeared, and we literally see him disappear. It's just like he's there 1 second, he Shaw walks by and he's gone the next. It's just like, you guys are so far-fetched that you couldn't even say he had like a laser thing and fucking cut a hole in the ground to push down into a sewer. Like, I know that's not the most believable thing in the world, but when you look at what this movie has done, that's probably the most believable thing that they probably could have done to explain him surviving. And I just don't know why they had to bring him back. And I know they brought him back because Justin Lin was disappointed that they killed him off between 6 and 7, which doesn't make too much sense because I'm pretty sure he made the 3rd one, Tokyo Drift, as his first. So it's just like, bro, you knew this was coming anyway, so why are you disappointed about it? And it just seemed like there was no good way to put him in this story. It just seemed like, hey, we don't have Hobbs, we don't have Brian anymore, we don't have any Shaws, we don't have any of the charismatic characters other than Roman, who is barely charismatic or even like Roman in this film. And let's just shove him in because, oh look, friendly face. And it could have worked in their way if they didn't fucking ruin it in the trailers. It's just like, bro, come on. You ruined all the good things in the trailers. They're one of those assholes that posted like a 4-minute trailer. Like, when you see a 4-minute trailer, you know you're seeing the entire movie at that point. No one needs a 4-minute fucking trailer. I mean,
did Han do anything? Like, did Han do anything? I can't remember.
Yeah, he
drove the car, the orange car. Yeah.
Okay.
The bomb. That was it. That's all he did. And he raised the 11-year-old that looks like she's 35.
She was the teen. So
I don't think she looks that old, but she clearly wasn't 11.
She was definitely at least 10 years older than what they wanted us to think.
I actually looked that up. She's 29.
Yeah, I was like, damn, 35. She looked about
25. She looks my age.
She's on the older 20s. When she's supposed to be older teens, and it just doesn't work. I'm just like, bro, you guys, I don't know how you guys have such off casting. It just seems like an obvious thing to do. It's just like, get someone within that age range.
It's a Fast and Furious franchise, though.
I know.
Do you really care? Do you think they care about continuity as much as we do?
It's not even continuity. It's just like the general aspect of a film. Get someone within that age range that you want. It's just
that looks that age range.
I mean, they got people in the beginning, though. I mean, in the first film, the whole crew was supposed to be in their early mid-20s, and they were all like clearly in their 30s already. So, I mean,
I believe late 20s. I
believe Brian could have been mid 20s.
They say like Vince is supposed to be 25, I think, because they say 25-year-old male or whatever with lacerations.
Yeah.
And so like
Vince,
and we know that
specifically,
he's like we know that he was about the same age as Dom, but that the other ones were younger. That Letty was quite a bit younger. That Mia was younger. So,
I mean, I think besides
Vin is tougher to believe specifically because it's Vin Diesel. We have this kind of image of him that he was never 20 years old, you know. So Vin specifically, it's tough to believe.
We
but
saw
the other
what he
ones,
looks like
I
when
think
he's 13 in this movie. So I mean, no wonder.
I don't know. I kind of bought it in him being like 25 to 28. I was like, okay, that's not so. I think the worst one besides this is Lucas Black being 18 years old, and I think he was like
poor guy though. Poor guy.
The crazy thing is though, like Lucas Black, he was only like he was like mid-20s when he did that. He just didn't look like it.
He looked
he's not an older look. That's the thing. I feel like when it comes to casting, it just doesn't need to.
It's the rocket scientist's life.
It's Sam Raimi Spider-Man all over again.
Yo, everything from 2 and 3, Sam Raimi. Actually, no, fuck that. Sam Raimi.
Those
30-year-old
teachers,
high schooler.
those high school students.
But
Right.
guys,
Younger.
I'm gonna give
Flash, yeah.
fucking Fast 9 a 0 out of 10, and I firmly believe it.
Wow.
Wow.
I thought I was
0
being mean.
out of 10, bro.
Damn, dude. Where can people find you on social?
Just Ryan again. That's my Twitter. I do my own podcast, Backroom Podcast, Christian, Loretto, and maybe these guys one day will eventually be on it. Love you guys. You guys are awesome. And me and Lo do the Straight Up Geeks podcast every week. Check that out. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Of course, bro. Of course. Yeah, 0 out of 10, though. Holy shit.
0 out of 10. I'll be the first person to say it because I feel like too many
Nice.
people are defending it like, oh, you know what type of movie this is. Like, yeah, I know what type of movie this is, but I also know what type of movie Fast 5, Fast 6 are too. I know they can tell a coherent plot line while being somewhat absurd, but I feel like they've gotten in their head that they need to go full blown. They've paid more attention on jaw dropping, like there's no way they can do this rather than telling a coherent story, which is what I feel like is lacking with 8 and this, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it just seems like it's probably not going to be patched up, but we're all along for the ride. Alyssa, what'd you think about Han? And then give us your take out of 10 and where we can find you.
So I agree with these other guys on Han that it was kind of, they didn't really do anything with him, and that was kind of disappointing here. And it's one of those things where I definitely agree with them also that they should not have shown Han in the trailers. I mean, just imagine how like awesome that would have been if like you get that shot of like him taking out the people with the sniper, and then you're like, who is it? And then I mean, I think we'd all be like, wait, what is this Han? But like it would still be that shock and that like whoa in the theater. But like, you know, in my theater there were probably, I don't know, like 40 people there, and nobody was surprised because they'd all seen the, you know, the trailer.
4-minute trailer.
And so yeah, and so like I can only imagine how like people would have been like yelling or whatever like in the theater had we not known that Han was going to be back. So I think that was a mistake, but I don't know, he was okay. You know, like his introduction when he comes in, he's like eating. He's always eating something. You know, he's always has that snack or whatever.
What is he eating? That's the biggest mystery.
Yeah, I know. But like he comes in eating, and I'm like, oh, it's so Han. But other than that, like they, you know, the whole Elle thing. I think that was her name, right? The
Elle.
pseudo daughter. She, I don't know. That whole thing was kind of weird. And like I agree that this sort of retconning or sort of like Deus Ex Machina thing that Mr. Nobody has become to like be able to bring anybody in whenever, like, and connecting it to everything, it's a little convoluted, or I guess more contrived than convoluted, but you know, it works, like it, you know, within the context it's okay, but I wish they had done more with him. But I imagine he's gonna have a larger role again in Fast 10. So I'm not
when he dies again
concerned. No, I think I'm imagining he's going to be reunited with Giselle, but who knows? I think because I mean they kind of dropped the hint there that Mr. Nobody, you know, like, oh, he worked with Giselle at one point. It's like, well, if he worked with Giselle, then like why, you know, why is it so hard to believe that he hasn't done the same thing for Giselle that he did for Han here with like faking?
Because she costs a lot more.
Yeah, but yeah, so I thought Han was okay, but I wish they had done more with him. Like they didn't really do anything with the character other than just have some nice kind of little reunions, and just, you know, I'm glad he's back, but the character didn't do too much here. Out of 10, I would probably give this a 6. It's pretty mid-tier for me. I'd say, you know, somewhere around how I felt about Fate of the Furious and then Fast 6 as well. And so I liked it, didn't love it, but not horrible, because you know what you're getting in for. Ryan. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. And so you can find me at Mainly Movies on YouTube. So I've got the YouTube channel here. I've done reviews for all of these movies. My review for Fast 9's coming out on Tuesday. I'm going to do a whole ranking of the franchise as well, and then non-Fast and Furious reviews too. And you can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Letterboxd, pretty much all the social medias, also at Mainly Movies.
Where does this fall in your ranking? Like 6, 5, 7?
Like number-wise?
Number-wise,
like,
yeah. Sorry,
don't
that's
know.
like a loaded question.
Yeah. Probably yeah.
Don't
somewhere
spoil
in-
her video.
Yeah, I actually don't. I haven't like I don't have like the thing here right by my side, but probably somewhere in the 5 or 6
Okay.
zone. Like, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think
saw
there's
some-
probably 3.
Other than Ricky, I saw someone else that
Yeah.
made it number 1 on their list. And my
Stop.
mind was blown.
Jesus.
Definitely not.
Wait,
number
did
1
Ricky
for me.
make it number 1 on his?
He probably did, honestly.
Actually, if we're
No,
including
no,
Hobbs
he
and
keeps
Shaw, if I'm including
cracked
Hobbs and
Ricky's
Shaw,
top
it's probably
5.
6 or 7.
Okay.
I could have sworn I heard him say it was number 1.
I think he put it at 5.
Yeah,
But-
it was his like 5 or something like that.
Damn, I gotta ask him now.
But Ren, let us know, man. Han, rating out of 10, and then where we can find you.
Didn't like the use of Han, how they executed it. I don't mind bringing them back, like bring everyone that supposedly died back. I don't care at this point. But how they went about it just really doesn't. It felt half-assed. They're just like, let's bring Han back. Okay, how? I don't care. That's how it felt in terms of the writing. But like Alyssa, I hope he has a more prominent role, more important role, because his role in this entire film was just a postcard, and then he's alive, and then he doesn't really do anything much. I guess they needed one more driver since Ramsey can't drive, but love Ramsey, love Nathalie Emmanuel. Don't get me wrong, she's incredible. Like I said, this is I don't enjoy this film. I enjoy parts, moments of it. It's still one of those, I'll put it in the background while I'm doing something else. Therefore, it can't be the worst of the franchise for me. I'm going to give it... I'm arguing with myself between a 4.5 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10. Right now, I'm going 4.5 because these last 2 hours of discussion really highlighted more of the issues. Because the positives are there and they're fine. They're the Fast and Furious positives, but the negatives are really some of the worst. For my ranking, Too Fast, Too Furious is still bottom. Tokyo Drift comes right after that. The original, The Fast and Furious, then Fast and Furious, then F9, then Fate of the Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, Furious 7, Fast 5, and number 1 still Fast 6, because Fast 6 is fucking amazing.
Fuck yeah, Ren. Fuck yeah, it is number 1.
Yeah.
Oh, they
Love,
keep it
dude.
Fast 5
Dude,
number
I'll
1.
have another 2 hours just talking Fast 6, how good it is.
Fast 6 is great. I love that thing.
Where can we find you, Ren?
You can find me at Ren Vieira on Instagram. It's sort of a personal account, but I always let you know what I'm watching when I'm watching it. And on Twitter, Letterboxd, and YouTube at Ren Geekness. Lots of great reviews coming this week, so I hope to see you all there.
Hell yeah. All right, Christian, let us know, man. Han, out of 10, and then where we can find you.
Han returning, I honestly just feel like it was just more of a cash grab there. I mean, because it's like, why not bring him back? Because everything else in this movie is pretty ridiculous. But that's just kind of my 2 cents on there. I feel like everyone's kind of talked about, how Han or their thoughts about it. So I'm pretty much in agreement there. Out of 10, I'm gonna give this. I'll give it. I won't do 0.5s. I'll give it solid. I'll give it like as of right now, because like I said, I am gonna go see it again today. Right now, it is sitting at a 4 out of 10 for me, just because. I mean, I think there's a lot of fun in the Fast franchise, but there's only like 3 of them that I'll ever probably go back and watch, and this is definitely not one of them. But that's pretty much my 2 cents on there. And you can, of course, find me over at Film Optics, over on Twitter and Instagram, and on podcast services around the internet. That is Optics with an X. And we're going to be reviewing Fast 9 this coming up Monday on our podcast. So that's that.
You will have seen the film in its entirety by then.
Yes, I will. So I'll get my clean, sound, full opinion.
Awake review.
Yeah, awake review. Awoke review.
Also, the tagline for this movie was around Han, by the way. It wasn't even involving Dominic or anything. It was like justice
Really?
for Han. The tagline's justice for Han. Like, bro, what?
It seems like they set up Justice for Han for the next movie.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But they said, no, fuck that. Forget Han.
Yeah, Han was what a very problematic way to tell him coming back. Love the being back, but I mean, come on, man. Like when he's back, it's problematic that he like how he actually came back with Mr. Nobody and pulling like magic tricks all of a sudden. It's like, damn, are we Harry Potter now? Like, where are we at, man? And then when he reunites with the Tokyo Drift crew, it's such a dry moment. I mean, like, yeah, cool, like the crew's back. Wouldn't they say like, how did you get back here, Han? Like, Han, we saw you die. We saw you explode. Nobody said nothing. Literally, Sean just walks up to him and he's like, "What up, man? I haven't seen you."
I heard you were. I heard you were alive. I couldn't believe it.
Right, like, dude, give me some surprise, some shock. Like, dude, no, sit him down and be like, okay, how the did you survive? Nobody even asked except Tyrese. Everybody else was like,
I think Roman's the only one that ever has a shock like reaction to anything.
Yeah.
So I mean, none of the other characters are ever shocked by anything.
Great way to bring it up because Roman perfectly understood how he survived apparently because he doesn't ask any follow-up questions. He's not like, okay, but he didn't actually explain how you survived.
Right. Wouldn't he just be like, well, hold on, bro, how did you just disappear from here to there? Like nothing. Out of 10, I'm going 4 out of 10 for this one. I definitely think it's the bottom of the franchise, even though Too Fast, Too Furious and Fast 4 are pretty bad as well. But I agree with you, Christian. There's not going to be one I go revisit that often until Fast 10 comes out. But like 6, 5, 7, Hobbs and Shaw are ones that I will probably always and consistently revisit. This one, though, it can sit on the back burner along with 8, 4, 2, and 1. Because let's be real, we're not rushing back to watch any of those. And that first one, they really stealing Panasonics. That's like nothing compared to the damn bank safe in 5 that they're strapping on. But we had a lot of interaction today in the chat as well. So thank you guys all so much for coming out. We had Sly in here, Candace Cinema, Real James, everybody pulling up to the chat. So thank you so much for coming through. And guys, on Geekly Goods, if you're new, hit that subscribe button for your boy. You know, we got some stuff coming up this week. We got new Superman and Lois, new Loki. And then what the heck is the movie this weekend? There's some movie coming up.
The Tomorrow War.
Forever
Lord have mercy. Well, I might not have reviews for those, y'all. So but come on back. There will be some reviews. And thanks for tuning in, guys. And we'll see you next time. Definitely be sure to follow all these creators on social media. I will include their links after this is published. So be sure to follow everybody. And we'll see you guys next time.
It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.